Okay, wait. We are live now,
Okay. Good.
and I have made you host again. You can make me co-host.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
There you go. All right. Thanks. Hey, Randy.
Hi, Wayne. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. How about you?
Good. I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Good. Good to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Okay. Gail, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi,
Hi. Good. How you doing?
doing great, thank you.
Okay. Let me see. Hi, Allie. You there?
Yes.
All right. Great. Let's see. Let's see. Gail, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. This is
Okay.
Gail.
All right, Gail. Hey, welcome.
Thank you.
Let's see. Who else is here? Cheryl? Can you hear us?
I'm here.
Okay. All right. Welcome. Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Georgianne coming back in. Hi, Georgianne.
Hi.
Good to see you again today.
Yeah.
Welcome. Okay.
Hi, Wade.
Hey, Josie. How are you?
Good, good, good. Thank you.
Good to have you back.
Thank you.
See. Jerry, are you there?
That could be.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and get started getting some of the background stuff done and the housekeeping things, so we'll be ready. Hi, Yvonne. So
Hi,
you just
Reed.
come in?
Good,
to
thank
see
you.
So let me go ahead and share my screen and get pictures moved around and get ready so we can get started here on time while some other people are still coming in. So you should be able to see my screen at this point with my slides on them. I'm moving your pictures over to my other monitor so I can see you over here. All right. How you doing? Oh, bye, Jared. You can come get you. We're just starting. Okay. All right. And let's see. I'm going to. So we got a fairly small class. I'm going to start out without muting everyone, but more than likely during the course of the class, I'll have to mute because of an echo or some background noise. And so just remember to check and see if you're muted before you ask a question or make a comment. If you are, just go ahead and unmute. and ask away. You don't need to raise your hand or anything. Just go ahead and ask your question. Hey, Jerry, good to see you.
Hi.
In. Welcome. All right, and I'm also going to open the chat. So in case anyone is having any trouble with their microphone, you can reach us via the chat, and that is now open. Okay, that's now open and ready to go. So if you're having trouble with your microphone, feel free to use the chat, or if you need to use the chat for whatever reason. But if you would, if your microphone's working, just go ahead and ask your questions out loud. That way everyone else can hear your question, and I'll hear it and get you a prompt response as well. Okay. All right, so we are going to go ahead and get started. We've got lots to cover this afternoon. This is Google Docs Basics. I do want to thank you for attending. Hope you enjoy the class. My name is Wade Yarbrough, and I'll be the guide for your class today. A little bit about my history. I'm from a small town called Mason, Tennessee, born and raised, a very small town. I went to West Virginia University to get my degree in psychology, and have taught at colleges off and on throughout my career, but most of my career was spent installing and training users on hospital information systems. I had a minor in computer science when I was getting my psychology degree, so I've always been fond of technology. And I've done a lot of adult training, but what I love about teaching here at Get Set Up is that I'm teaching people that want to be in the class, as opposed to people that were told to go to the class by their employer, which certainly makes it a lot more fun for me. And what we try to do at Get Set Up is to create an environment where you can take classes you're interested in, along with other people that are interested in the same topic. You can interact with each other as well as interacting with the guide. And that's hopefully is a comfortable learning experience for you. Anyone in the class can request a copy of the recording of the class, and you can do that by sending an email to help@getsetup.io. And I'm going to put that in the chat as well in case you don't have that already. Copy that and put it in your email contacts. There are some other things you can do with that email as well that we'll talk about in the closing slides. We are also live streaming the class, so I do want to welcome anyone that's joining us via live stream. Thanks for joining, and hope you enjoy the class as well. But do want to stress that the only way to get what I call the full Get Set Up experience is to go to our website and register for the class. That way you can interact with the other learners as well as with the guide. And finally, Get Set Up is not paid by Google or any of the other vendors and products we train on. We are purely trainers. So let's take a look at the agenda today. We'll talk about how to find and open Google Docs, how Google Docs compares to Microsoft Word. One of the assumptions of the class is that most people will have a passing familiarity with Microsoft Word, if not an intensive overview of it. So we're going to draw a lot of comparisons between the two. We'll teach you how to create a new blank document, or how to start from a template to create a document, how to edit and format documents, and we'll also show you how to convert documents back and forth between Word and Google Docs. So let's start by talking about Google Docs versus Microsoft Word. One difference is that Google Doc runs as a web browser app, which means it runs in a browser tab, which means that it will run on any device that supports a browser and will run on any browser. It doesn't matter whether it's Chrome, Firefox, Edge, whatever. So it gives a lot of versatility, whereas Word is still a program that has to be installed and it runs under the operating system of the device you're using. It does run on Windows and Mac. Google Docs is completely free, which is very attractive to a lot of people. Word is part of Microsoft 365, which does cost $69.99 a year, which is not a lot of money, given that you also get Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, OneNote, OneDrive, and a terabyte of data for that. But it is $70 a year. And Microsoft Word has more features than Google Docs. It's been around for a long time. Google Docs is fairly recent in comparison. So Microsoft's had a lot more time to develop functions and features. But I haven't found any issues using Google Docs. I mean, if you're a power user, if you're doing some very unusual and complex things, you might bump into some problems. But for the most part, certainly for personal use, Google Docs has all the functions and features that I think you would need. And I'm going through this again fairly quickly. This is mostly background material, but please do unmute and ask a question or make a comment if you have anything. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep going through here, but always happy to stop and answer questions. So how do I get access to Google Docs? First, you have to have a Google account. Hopefully everybody has a Google account already. If you have Gmail, if you have Google Calendar, you've got a Google account. And then, as I mentioned, typically you're running it from a browser. That's what we're going to be doing today, is using the browser version. But you can also run it as an app version on a smartphone or a tablet. Just go to the App Store and download Google Docs and then log in with your Google account. But the app version does look different and work different than the browser version. There's some things you can only do on the browser version, which is why that's the one we're going to be using today. So if you're trying to follow along from an app, it will be different. If you're on a tablet, you can switch over to your browser and go that way. If not, you may just want to watch my screen to see how it works. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. Hopefully you can still read this. If not, I can. But I want to give most of the screen over to Google. And so I'm going to go ahead and open up a separate browser that does have Google in it. So I've gone to www.google.com. So if you haven't gone to Google Docs before, or you're not real familiar with Google, how to navigate around, this is the best place to go. If you don't have an account, this is definitely the first place to go. From here, you can create an account if you don't have an account. If you're not signed in, it would sign in from here. And if you're signed in, it'll look like mine. You'll have your picture or your initials up here in the upper right. If you click on that account icon, it'll show you the account you're logged in under. You can have more than one Google account. This is my personal account. This is my work account. I've got 2 or 3 other Google accounts. You can create as many as you want. They're all free. And right beside that is what's typically called the waffle icon, because it looks a little bit like a round waffle. And if you click that, it shows you all the Google apps that you get as part of your free account. We do have a class called Introduction to Google Apps. And in that class, we do go over all these apps, very briefly, of course, but kind of telling you what they all are. For today, we're going to just focus in on Google Docs. And so it is right here. I'm going to click on Google Docs, and that's going to launch Google Docs, and I'll go to the home page. But all the Google home pages have that waffle app, so you can go from here to anywhere else. So if I want to go to my Gmail, I can click here and open Gmail, then another tab. Again, that's the browser part of Google. But we're going to start here with Google Docs. So this is the home page. It's broken into 2 sections, and if you're a Word person, it looks very similar. The top part is how you would create a new document, and the bottom part is how you can find and access existing documents. We're going to start at the top. If you click this first icon, it's where it says blank, it will do just that. It will create a blank document. It takes you into a document, untitled, nothing there. You build it from scratch. Anytime you're in a document, you can click this icon to go back home. So we're now back at the Google homepage. The other way to start is with a template. If you're not familiar with templates, templates are pre-formatted documents. They're very handy in some cases just to get ideas, or if there's a certain type of application you're trying to do that you need some help with. It shows you the last few that you've looked at here. But if you click the template gallery at the top, it will take you into the full template gallery. And you can see, for instance, there's what, 2, 4, 5 different formats for a resume. If you're trying to write a resume, you can pick any one of these that you like that particular format and do your resume. Same thing for letters. They've got 5 different templates for writing a letter if you don't remember the format for a business letter. And again, you can kind of see they're structured differently. Find the one that suits your fancy. All sorts of work-related ones for project proposals, meeting notes, newsletters, etc. You can scroll through these and look at them when you have time. I'm going to start with a letter template just to show you how this works. So I'm going to click on this. It's called a spearmint letter format. And what it's going to do, it's going to take that template, make a copy of it, create a blank document. It gives the document the same name as the template. And I'm ready to start customizing this document. I'm not working on the template any longer. The template is read-only. I'm not changing the template. This is now a document. You would probably want to change it and rename it. This is a letter to Don Davis. And then you just start putting in your information into the template. So where it says your name, you would put your name. And then you would delete and put in your street address, your phone number, the actual date, the name of the person you're sending it to, etc. What the template does is all the spacing, the formatting, highlighting, adds this little spearmint color up there, which is called the spearmint template. In the appropriate format. Questions about the template? Now, if I'm done, or maybe I'm just tired of working on it and I'm going to do something else for a while, I would click home. I don't click save. There is no save button. You don't save in Google. It automatically saves for you. So when I click home, it takes me back to the home page. And here's that letter to Don Davis that we just started at 4:15 p.m. Eastern Time. I can click on it again and open it up again if I want to and keep working on it. So the lower section shows all of the documents that I have access to that I've worked on before or that someone has given me permission to work on. When you start out, there's only going to be a couple of them, so it's not a big deal, but over time, it'll get fairly long. So you really need a way to manage all of these, and Google does that. First, you can filter them. You've got 3 choices for filtering. You can say, just show me the ones that are owned by me. Those are the ones that I created myself. Or I can say, show me ones not owned by me. You can share your documents with other people. Other people can share their documents with you. You can see these are all documents that someone else has shared with me. This little icon tells me it's a shared document. And over here is the owner of that document. I can open that document and do anything that person has given me privileges to do. And in this case, you see I can click down here, but I can't do anything. And I have this request edit access. That means that person has given me view only access. I can look at this document. I can't change it. I can request edit access. If I do this, it'll send a request to her and she will decide if she wants to give me access to change it or not. That's her choice. What I can't always do though, is I can come up here and click file and make a copy. And then I can make a copy of this document for myself. I'll call this Wade's Drive Know Your Limits. So now I have a copy. I can change my copy as much as I want to, and it switched me over to my version. Now I can go in here and edit it and do what I want to with it to my version. Everybody follow me? So, and I'll show you later in the class how to share your documents, but that's one thing to keep in mind. If you don't want somebody else changing your document, share it as view only. let them make a copy. They can share, do anything they want to their copy. It keeps your copy clean. I'm going to go back home. And I'm going to click this again. So we looked at owned by me, not owned by me. I'm going to click owned by anyone. This will show me any document I have access to. And here's the one that I started with that someone else owned. I made a copy of it. This is now mine. I can do anything I want to with it. Hers is still out there unchanged as it was when we first started. Now, the other way I can deal with this long list, and you can tell they're in, right now they're in chronological order based on last opened by me. I can sort these over here. And if you hover over this, it says sort options. Right now it's sorted by last opened by me. I could look at my last modified by me, last modified by anyone, which is handy if there's multiple people. You can see who's edited something, or you can sort it by title. So if you want to just sort it by title, sometimes that's a handy way to find things. I usually sort it by last opened by me, just how I like to do mine. So I'm going to put that back like I want it, and I'm going to change it back to owned by me. That's how I usually have mine set up. You can do anything that makes sense to you. Questions so far? Okay. All right, there's one icon I haven't talked about yet, and that's this last one over here in that row. And when I hover over that one, it says Open File Picker, which is a little cryptic as to what that means. I'm going to click on it. And what this lets me do is bring in a file that I haven't worked on before and hasn't been shared with me by someone else. Maybe I was out on the internet and found something and downloaded it, or maybe somebody sent me something in an email and I copied it. Several ways I could have something in my Google Drive that I haven't opened before. Or it could be something that's not even in Google Drive. And that's what I want to do at this point. I want to go grab a Word document that's on my computer and bring it into Google Docs. Anytime you see the word upload in Google, anywhere, that means go outside of Google Drive and get something off your device. So I'm going to click upload. I'm going to say select a file from your device. I'm on a Windows computer. It opens File Explorer, just if I'd click this right here. If you're on a Mac, it would open Mac Finder, and it'll show me everything on my computer. I could pull something from anywhere here. I can also go to any of my cloud drives. So this is my OneDrive, which is the Microsoft Cloud Drive. I'm going to actually go into this folder, this subfolder, and grab this syllabus. And you can see this is a Word document. It's got the W here. It even says in the second row, type Microsoft Word document. And I'm going to click on that. I can double click. I can click and open. I'll double click. You can see it's uploading that file into Google Drive, which is Google's cloud storage system. And then it opens it in Google Docs. So this is now a Google document, has the same name as the Word file had, but it's now editable. This was a syllabus from a class I taught last year. I can change that. So maybe I'm going to teach this in the fall of 2021. So I can go in and change it. So I can do anything I want to with this. Now, I mentioned that there's some things in Word that you can't do in Google, or that doesn't translate over. And here's one. It's actually the only thing in this whole document that didn't work. If I open this in Word, I could click these boxes and change the days it's offered. So if I'm going to be teaching this on Tuesdays and Thursdays next semester, I would unclick those and click this. It doesn't work, but it's not a big deal. I could just delete that and type in Tuesday and Thursday. Same information, not a big deal. Other than that, everything came over clean. You do need to check if you bring over a document take a look at it, make sure everything came over clean. You might have to tweak it a little bit, but it usually is pretty close. And this is a fairly complex document, uses lots of functions and features. I can, of course, change the name. And I don't need to save. When I'm finished, I just go back home. And now here's that document, the Google version. The Word document is still on my cloud drive. It wasn't changed. It made a copy. So I'm not affecting that file. I'm changing the copy that I made. Questions? Makes sense. Okay. I'm going to catch up with myself over here.
Wade, I missed that when you made the copy. Where did you go and make a copy of the file?
The Word document?
Yes.
How did I get to the Word document? Yeah, let me go through that again because this is pretty cryptic. So let me do it again. So you start with the file picker. Click that. And then you need to go where it is, and it's probably not in Google Drive. It's probably on your device. So if you click upload, it will take you to your device's files. You have to click select a file from your device. You can drag and drop here, but I find this is usually easier because it just opens up, if you're a Windows person, File Explorer. And I'll pick something else here. I'll click this file, and again, which is a Word document, and it opens automatically, brings it in.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I don't have to do anything. It still brings that over. It's now there. I can work on it. One last thing I'll show you, then we'll actually go into some documents, but being able to manage the documents is probably the biggest difference from Word, and want to make sure you understand how this part works. You'll see a triple dot. I always tell people when you see a triple dot, click it. And what I can do here is I can rename this document. So if I just click this, I can change it. If I want to, whatever change I want to make. I can also delete it. I can open it in another tab. Okay, I don't really want this one, so I'm going to remove it. So that, and it tells me it's going to be taking it out of Google Drive, putting it in the trash. So that's fine. So it is now gone. The last option is to open in a new tab. So when you're opening a Google Doc, you've got two options. I can open it in a new tab. And what it did, it opened it over here. This is the letter to Don Davis. I'm gonna go back here. Let me go home. If I just double click from here, it opens it in the same tab where I was. One of the reasons you might want to have things open in different tabs is maybe I'm copying some text from this letter over to that one, or like in this case, I've already put in all this information. I don't want to have to enter it again over here, so I can just come over here and paste it over here into this one. So that's this use case where I typically have two open if I'm copying things back and forth or just comparing the documents. Other than that, I typically just have one tab open for Word or for Docs, and I just keep going back and forth, opening whichever one I need to work on. Okay, so let's go in and look at a document. We've kind of been playing with them for a while. Let's dig in a little deeper. I'm going to open this letter to John Jones. And the ribbon, or it's not called a ribbon. This is the equivalent of a ribbon. It's just called the menu toolbar in Google, but it's equivalent to the ribbon in Word if you're a Word person. Structured similarly, but it's really a little cleaner and easier to use, I think. But you've got each one of these tabs. You click on the tab, it shows you all the commands associated with inserting, viewing, formatting, etc. What I like about Google, it has this extended shortcut bar. And you'll see a triple dot. I'm going to click that, and you can see there's some additional options in the shortcut bar. The reason I've got all these is because I'm not using my full screen. If I open up my full screen, it would be able to accommodate all of those. But since I'm got my slides over here, it just wraps around. So if you see that triple dot, you know to wrap around to get to those other functions and features that you can't see. I'm going to go into the file option and talk about a couple of things. We've already talked about one of them, which was make a copy. We also have talked about that there's no save. Google automatically saves for you. And in addition to that, it automatically keeps a version history. So I can come here to version history, go to see version history, and it'll show me all of the versions of this letter that is saved along the way, going back to the first time I opened it back in November 30th of last year. I can click there to see what it looked like on that day. Okay. And then I can come up to a later time and see that it's any changes have been made. At any point, I can grab one of these versions and say, restore this version, and it will take that and put it as the top version. The version I was working with right before then would still be here. It would now be the second version, and that old one would be the current version. So I could actually toggle back and forth between the two of them. So it's pretty handy to have this version history feature. Okay.
Wade,
Uh-huh.
all this version would take the space then? Does it take a space?
It does take space. Of course, it's in Google Drive, so you've got a lot of space in Google Drive. But yes, it does take up some storage space.
Storage.
Yeah.
So once you are done, then you should be deleting it or something like that, or just
Yeah, I don't know if there probably is a way to delete the version history. I haven't really seen that. I've never done it because I don't really worry about it, because
Okay.
Google storage is so cheap.
okay.
If you get, I think you get 15 gigabytes free, and then
Right. See, and then you could add, yeah.
yeah, and you get another 50 for like $3 a month or something. So unless you're
Right.
doing a lot of really large documents, it's probably not worth worrying
Right.
about. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Oh, and then the last thing is move to trash. Actually, I will show you one other thing, which is a little different with Google, is print. So if I want to print something, it's down here. There's also, and it works a little differently because when I do print, I'm used to it popping up where I choose a printer. It brings up a PDF dialog where it says, what do you want to do? Open it with Firefox, open it with Adobe. You can pick whichever one. If you don't have Adobe, you'll still be able to open it with your browser. I'm going to open it in the browser. It's going to open it in another tab on my browser right there. And now I can print it. That's what I normally would see. I can pick my printer and print the document. So it's a two-step printing. You open it first as a PDF and then print the PDF. Not sure why it works that way, but that's the way it works. It's not a problem, but it might surprise you the first time you see it if you weren't expecting it. All right. All right, I'm going to go back home and open another document and go over just some of the basic formatting and editing. It's extremely similar to Word or any other word processing tool that you've used in the past, so we can go through this fairly quickly. I'm going to open a template. I'm going to open this recipe template, mainly because I want to talk about pictures as well as text, because text, again, is fairly straightforward. Things have different icons. That's the biggest learning curve if you're coming from another word processor. Let's say I don't like this color here for that this text. I want to change the color. I just come over to the text color, pick the color that I want, a nice blue. Maybe I don't like that font. I come over here to the fonts, change the font. You can copy and paste, just like with anything else. You can do a Control C to copy this, and then I can come down here and paste it there. You can delete, obviously. So all the typical commands you can do from here. If I want to change this from a bulleted list to a numbered list, I can come up here and click here, change it, or I can use different bullets if I want to change it to these bullets instead of that bullet. Bold it. Missing part of it. Let me grab all that text and bold it. So not too different from what you're used to in terms of text editing. Same thing with the margins. If I want to narrow this left margin a little bit, I just drag it over and it changes the margin. Can do the same thing with the right margin. So unless there's questions about the text, let's talk about images, because these are a little different than what you may be used to with other text editors. I'm going to say I don't like this picture. So I can delete this picture and insert a new one. To do that, I'm going to come up here to insert, click image, and I've got several options to insert a new image. I can go to Google Photos, which is the easiest thing to do because it's Google. If I click Google Photos, it'll bring up my photos over here on the side panel. I don't have to go somewhere else, and I can find what I want to put in there. I don't have anything that's going to be appropriate, but I'll pick some baby birds just because they're cute, and insert. And it's now insert that picture. You know, I can resize the picture if I need to change it. Can right click it and crop it or do other image editing. So that's one way. You can get something from Google Photos if you use Google Photos. If you don't use Google Photos, you still have options. I can insert an image. I can insert it from my computer. So this will take me, remember, upload means go to your computer. So if I can upload it from my computer, in this case, I'm on Windows, it takes me to my Windows. I can go to anywhere on my computer or in any of my cloud drives where I've got pictures. Let me go up here to pictures right there. I think I've got, yeah. And they sit in pancakes, but it's food. I got pickles pictures. So I can pick that and I can put that picture there. So you can pull something off your device if you're not a Google person. Your third option is to click Insert, Image, and search the web. So you can go out to the web and grab stock images that are out on the web. In this case, I just put what I'm looking for. Pancakes is what we're looking for. So let's look for pancakes. And it shows me pictures of pancakes. I can grab one that I want to bring over. That one's kind of nice. So I just insert that. And there's my picture. It's a little too big, no problem. Shrink it a little bit. That fits pretty good. So multiple ways to get pictures, bring them into your document. Questions? Okay, we got a couple other things and we're doing good on time.
I did have one question.
Yeah.
I did have one question.
Sure.
If you go to your photos and take about 5 or 10 pictures out and insert them, could you do that from your
Yeah.
Google?
You can do it one at a time. I don't think you can do them at multiples, but if I wanted to add another picture below this one, I could certainly do an insert image. Let me just go over here and look and see if you can pull in more than one at a time. Let me come down here. Oh, yep, it is, because it says one selected, which means that I could probably come down here and select another one. Yep,
Okay.
and insert both of those. And
Okay, thank you.
yeah, so
Good enough.
we'll do that. Oh, and I'll show you another very handy thing because it did kind of whack up my document. And so maybe I'd say, whoops, don't want to do that. This is the undo.
Mhm.
So that puts it back like it was. Very handy one to have.
How about translating it?
Translating it to another language or to another word.
It's not in English.
Oh, this is not a language. This is just this is a template. Remember, so this is just gobbledygook telling you
No, but you cannot translate it.
you can't translate that because that's not real words.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean your templates just put in something placeholders. 'Cause
Uh-huh.
basically, I need to
Okay.
come down here and put in what my ingredients are: flour, butter. So you just delete these. There is a way to use Google Translate to translate a document to French or German or something else. Off the top of my head, I don't know how to do that. I do know it is there. So there is a way to translate it. So if you did want to convert it to another language, that's in there. But what I do want to do is translate it. But in this case, I want to translate it to a Word document. So maybe I'm showing this to a friend and they say, oh, that's a great recipe. Can I get a copy of it? And I can say yes, but they say, well, I don't do Google. I do Word. Can you translate it to Word? And I say, no problem. I'm going to click on File, Download. Here's my options. I can convert it to a Word document from here, or I can convert it to ODT, which is an open format, or you can create a PDF. But in this case, she wants it as a Word document. So I just click Microsoft Word. And I've got a dialog box here. The default is to save it. If I want to open it in Word, I could do that as well, but I don't want to open it. I want to save it and give it to her. So I'm just going to say OK. And what it does is to open that. And my file explorer is over here. Let me bring this over here. And by default, it puts it in your downloads. So if I go here, there's that recipe in Word format. So I could email that to my friend, put it on a thumb drive and hand it to her, however I wanted to give her that recipe. Now let's say this is a very popular recipe. I have another friend that wants it, but they are a Google person. And so they say, I want it, but can you share it with me through Google? So to do that, I come up here to share. I click that. Actually, I'm gonna do something I should have done before. That's why it said recipe 4. I've done this several times. So I should probably give this a name. Be better. But I'm gonna share this. And I can just put that person's email address in here, and it's Michelle Yarbrough. So I can click there. If some other people want it, I can add additional email addresses. This is where I determine what they can do with it. We talked about that before. And in this case, I'd probably want to make them a viewer, just like that file I showed you at the start of class that somebody made me a viewer. So that way they can make a copy of it and then they can change their copy. I don't want them messing up my recipe. But if it is somebody I work with and we cook together and we're going to work on this recipe together, I can make them an editor, which means they could go into that document, change anything they want to change. And we do have a class called Sharing and Collaborating with Google Tools that shows you how to do this. Sharing it is easy. Collaborating and keeping track of who's changed what, when, how gets complicated. That's what that other class goes to. So if you're sharing your files at editor level, you probably want to take that class first so you can protect your file. Kind of the intermediate option is Commenter, and I can show you how that works in just a minute. But in this case, they can make comments. They can't change the document itself. So you got 3 choices. I'll leave it as a commenter. And then I can put a message. And send it. And it's now sent. I'm not going to send that. Questions though, before I leave this page? So they'll get an email with a link in it. They click on the link and it will, let me close this. It will load it into down here from Wade shared document, and they could see it when they go to their owned by anyone or not owned by me and see that file and open it, make a copy of it. Or if they're co-editor, they can open it and edit it. Let me open this again and show you one of the options was to comment, but not be able to edit. So if I wanted to enter a comment, let's say I had that privilege here, and I wanted to say that, let's say it says, I'm going to change this to say 2 cups of flour. I can make a comment here and say, and here's where you can add a comment, this little flag with a plus on it. And let me slide this over so you can see it. And make my comment. So now there's my comment. The owner can look at that and say, yeah, you're right, and change it. Or they could say you're full of beans and delete the comment. But that's how you can let somebody comment on your document, but they can't change the content of the document. That makes sense. Okay, I think that is everything I was going to show you today. Yep, because we just went over sharing. We got a couple of minutes for questions. Any questions about anything I covered too quickly or anything I didn't cover that you have questions about? Open questions.
Could you put a cover note with it when you send it?
Yes, so when you share it, you do have that option of putting a message there. So you could say, you know, I have given you whatever. If you want to tell them I've given you commenters privileges, but not editor privileges, please add your comments, whatever. So
Thank
you can put a message there.
Thank you.
So
And
Wade,
I didn't show you this. Oops, let me go back in there real quickly, then I'll take the next question. Because normally I'm sending it to one person or maybe 2 people, so I just do this. You can also get a link. So if I want to send it to a bunch of people, so I can copy a link and put it in an email and use a distribution list I've got, or I could even get a link and post it on Facebook, whatever. So I could just copy the link and then I'll go paste it wherever I want to share that link. So that's if you want to share it with, let's say I'm in a Facebook group that's a cooking group and I want to share it with everybody in that cooking group, I would copy the link and paste it on my Facebook group. Yep. Somebody else had a question. Is it Jerry?
that was me,
Oh,
Wade.
Randy? Okay, you're Randy.
Yeah, if you're going to download like a document to your computer, now it's going to by necessity translate it or save it in some format that your computer will recognize, correct? There's no special extension for, you know, it has to be like Word or it's not, there's no special extension for Google Documents, correct, on your personal,
Yeah.
if I'm asking that right.
Yeah, and from here, you would not save it in Google format on your device. I mean, it by default, it's going into Google Drive. And so from here, I don't have that option. I can take something out of Google Drive if I go into Google Drive and move it to my C drive if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But assuming you want it in something other than Google format, oops, let me go back into the document, hit the wrong button. That's where this file download is.
Yeah.
So these are the ones I can use. So I can do ODT, which is kind of a universal format. So if you're
Oh, I
using
see.
like Apple and you want to move this over to somebody that has Apple pages, I could download it as ODT, they could upload it as ODT, and now they've got it.
I
Or you
got
could
you.
just do a PDF or an RTF version, etc. So these are the ones
Yeah.
that will translate into for you. And
Yeah,
put it
gotcha.
on the
Thank you.
device.
I didn't see all that when yeah, thank you.
Okay, sure. I got time for one more question if anybody has another question. All right, if not, let's go ahead and I'm going to close this back down and we're going to go ahead and close out because I do want to get you out of here in time to get to your next class. So I do want to thank you all for attending. Hope you learned some things about Google Docs. It's a nice tool. And as you can see, you don't necessarily have to switch. If you're currently a Word person, you don't have to switch over to Google Docs. You can use both. I do that. I use both of them depending on who I'm sending it to or what I'm doing. So they are complementary, not exclusionary. So if you're enjoying your experience, hopefully you're sharing that on social media. And if you are, please tag us on anything you post at Get Set Up. We'd love to see your post and we'll like your post as well. But if you do want to share some information, but you don't do social media, you can always email it to us at Liz at Get Set Up. That's Liz down there. And she'll post it on our social media for you. 2 related classes. I mentioned both of these in the class. Introduction to Google Apps shows you all the things under that waffle icon. And then sharing and collaborating using Google Tools is how you can learn how to collaborate, see what other people have edited, decide whose edits take precedence, all those sorts of things. So that's a great class if you want to collaborate with other people. After class, you'll get an email, and there's several sections to the email. The first section is the class notes. So there'll be some takeaways from class, and there'll be links to a number of websites and documents. So you want to take a look at those links. There also is a way to share the class with someone else. So if you enjoy the class and you know a friend that you think would enjoy it, you can post it on Facebook or you can email it through email if you're more comfortable doing that. There'll be links to 3 other classes you might want to take. Oh, and as part of this class notes, we often put links to those related classes. I think they are in there for this class. So from the class notes, you can click on a link and register for that class as well if you're interested in that class. But these are other classes you might be interested in. So same thing, you can click the link here or click the link over there and go straight to the registration page. There's a give feedback link, which opens our feedback form. 2 questions. How do you rate the class? 1 to 5. How do you rate the guide? 1 to 5. Comments are optional, but greatly appreciated and done. Very quick evaluation form. Hopefully you're enjoying being part of the Get Set Up community. And if you are, there's ways you can get more involved if you want to. You can host or participate in an interest group. We're starting to develop interest groups around some of the tech classes. So if you would like to start a Google Docs class or interest group and meet with other people that are using Google Docs, share documents, share tips and tricks, just let us know. Send us an email, help@getsetup.io. If there's a class you'd like to see us teach that we're not teaching, same thing. Or if there's an organization you belong to that you think would be a good partner for us, let us know about that as well. If you've got a name and a phone number, that would be wonderful, but just let us know and we'll contact them. And then of course, if you want to get a copy of the recording of this or any other class, same email address. Be sure to include the name of the class and the date you attended. And the last link is View Schedule. That takes you back to our website where you can book another class. A few changes that we've made recently I wanted to go over in case you haven't found them. The first one is View My Complete Schedule right in the middle of the home screen. If you click that, it will take you to the classes you've booked already. And you can do 2 things from here when it's time for the class. You can launch the class from here. You don't have to keep that email. If this is easier, it's an alternative. Or if you can't find that email, you can launch from here. If you have a conflict come up and you can't attend a class, you can cancel it from here as well. I mentioned the live streaming. This is where you can see the live streaming of classes from our website. It's called Get Set Up TV. If you click into that, it'll show you what's on TV, and it's probably my class. It's called Get Set Up TV. And it is. If you click into that, it'll. And that is too weird to hear myself with about a 10-second delay behind where we are. But anytime you can click on TV, it's like turning on the TV. The guide can't see you. You can't talk to the guide. It is like watching it on TV, but it's a great way to preview a class that you think you might want to take, or maybe you just got 30 minutes and there's nothing on real TV. So come over to Get Set Up TV and watch part of a class. It's always available. If you know a class you want to take, the easiest way to find it is to search by keyword. So we were talking about that sharing and collaboration class. So I can start typing collaboration, and luckily I only had to put the first 4 letters because I'm a terrible speller, but there it is, sharing and collaborating with Google. So you can just click on that and you can book that class, which is going to be on the 6th at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Something we've added that people have been asking for a while, this has been a couple of weeks now, but in case you haven't found it, is if there's a guide or maybe several guides, you like their classes and you want to see what they're teaching for the next couple of weeks, you can just put their name in and hit the return, and it'll show you in chronological order the classes that they're teaching, starting with the one we're in right now, taking you through the classes up through, we usually book about 2 weeks out. So you can see what, in this case, it's my classes, which ones I'm going to be teaching for the next couple of weeks. It does vary week to week, so you can always come back and check again. And if you want to book a class from this list, you can just click book. It'll take you to the class. You can check and see if that's really the class you wanted to take. And if it is, you can book over here. One last thing I wanted to show you that we've added from the book. So it's now booked. There's 2 things you can do. You can add it to your calendar. This has been here before. You can put it on whatever calendar you want it, Yahoo, Google, Outlook. But you can now invite a friend. So maybe you have a friend or friends that you would think would enjoy the same class and you want to take it all at the same time. You can see each other in class and talk about it after class. Just click invite a friend, put their email address here. Or if you want to send it to several people, you can copy the link and paste it in your email and send out an email to those people, whichever is easier for you. Any classes about the website, booking classes? Okay, if not, that wraps up the class for today. I do hope you enjoyed the class and found some useful information. And I sure hope I see you again in another class really soon. Thanks, everybody, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you,
Bye-bye,
Ray.
everyone.
Thank
Thanks. Bye-bye.